Changes, David Bowie instructed us, turn and face the stranger. Maybe you're more Bob Dylan, who said times are a changing, or Taylor Swift, who asked us things will change. You feel it now? The class of 2027 just keeps seeing changes at the top with a brand new number one, the third different number one to be exact, with the release of Prep Baseball's updated rankings. I'm Corey McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and this is Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, before we unveil that new number one player atop the class, break down the mechanics of all these changes, and can you remember a class where the top spot has just been fluid to this point?
What's cool about the class and what I saw in doing these rankings, it's not so much of guys so much falling as much as the amount of players that we saw throughout the preseason events into the spring. It's only going to grow throughout this summer, which is the most important summer in college recruiting for these guys who are going to be becoming juniors, especially after the future games with all those wonderful uncommitted talents that we'll see there at Lake Point. But no, the fluidity of that number one spot just ties into just how deep this class appears to be. Again, looking for those premium athletes up the middle, those aggressive athletes with aptitude, getting after it. There's good shortstops, the bats are there, some two-way talents, and then some frontline arms. And I'd expect some pitching to continue to show itself. But new number one, there may be a new one next time because this class is ultra good.
Well, Chase Fuller has been knocking on the door of being number one. He was second in the initial 2027 rankings in December of 2023. He was third in the last update. And drum roll, please, the Florida State commit out of the Sunshine State has climbed atop the mountaintop, a fastball into the mid 90s, an exit velo ticking towards triple digits. Serious athletic bloodlines as a son of a 10-year NFL vet. Shooter, a prodigious talent, and now the entire class is looking up at him.
Yeah, what's great about Chase is he has been famous since he stepped into high school. Great player, two-way upside. I love what he's doing at shortstop. But the fact that he went and did not rest on his laurels, took his talent, all the athleticism, all the God-given talent, and he got after it behind the scenes working. His defensive ability over the last year has really jumped out to the chance where he can stick at shortstop long term, which really helps his value in the long run. The bat the ball's there. He's hitting for power. He's 6'2", 205. You talked about the fact that he's up to 95 in the bump with 3 pitches. What does that tell me? This guy's an ultra competitor. Put him into any big situation. He's out there to win and help his team win, which will only help the tools and athleticism on the position player side. So I'm looking forward to what he brings to the summer and not only taking his talent and showing he's the number one player, but saying that I can get even better. So Chase Fuller, new number one player, big time talent.
He spent last summer as teammates with Lash Henderson, the first number one in the class. Fuller just made it undeniable, just kept building himself up, followed that with a sensational high school campaign. There are two new faces in the top 10. Texas's Lubin Rincon, who climbs from 25th to 3rd, and IMG Academy's Sebastian Sushi Wilson, previously 28th, now 7th overall. Rincon absolutely brings it with a glove, can move with a 6.69 in the 60. Wilson is just a metrics darling. Exit velos into the hundreds, a 6.58 60. And the Tennessee commit may be the only high schooler I have ever seen with his own foundation, the Sushi Wilson Dream Big Foundation. Shooter, take us inside their climbs.
Yeah, and Rincon's a guy we talked about in the fall at Texas A&M, College Station. He comes to the Texas State games. Nobody knew who he was, and he stood out. It was one of those where it makes it easy. Who's the best guy here? That kid right there, Lubin Rincon. 6'3", 170, moves well at shortstop. The left-handed stick, he slows things down in the box. It's a hit power profile. What does he do all spring? He looks the part. And that's what really elevated him from where he was climbing high in the final updates from the late fall to, hey, now he's the number 3 player in the class. And there's certainly a path to being the number 1 player if you can continue to progress. And then Sushi Wilson, who's an Illinois, Chicago native kid, goes down to IMG, says, I'm just going to continue to get better. And what I loved about seeing him was, one, he tracked really well. The swing decisions were there from left side because he obviously has that physicality that's innate. Did a really nice job in the outfield when I was able to see him playing center field, running downhill. Be interested to see how that continues. But he can get off some big swings, and he is dangerous every time he's in the box. But I love the fact that he challenged himself and he's only getting better. And I love the way they bring some energy to the field, and that's going to really help him moving forward into higher level baseball.
On to the key risers, and let's open up with two really intriguing shortstop. Indiana's Isaiah Snavely out of Fort Wayne Snyder High School, the same school that gave us prep baseball All-American Brandon Logan. Snavely has been a fixture in these conversations around Indiana in the class of 2027. He climbs up 13 spots to 58th. Meanwhile, North Carolina's Kellen Rogers, a former junior feature gamer out of Wake Forest High, is up 67 spots to 23rd.
Corey, I love those shortstops. So we had to get those guys up there. And Snavy, left-handed stick that the scouting community, the professional scouting community is getting a nice early look at right now. Looking forward to seeing what he brings to Lake Point during the future games this summer. Can kind of be a breakout moment for him potentially. Even at the NPI, he's going to be at Lake Point all summer. But the bat, the ball, the power's there, moves really well, but plays hard at all times. That's what I love about him. And then Kellen Rogers, I just love the swing mechanics. He's twitchy in the box. He's bouncy. He impacts the game in all phases. He's bringing a smile to my face. I can't wait to see what he gets after this summer. But North Carolina just produces nonstop talent, and Kellen Rogers is part of a really good 2027 class coming out of North Carolina.
Two righties and two lefties make the risers conversation. The right-handers include Illinois' Brady Bunick, a 6'3", 205-pounder with a mid-90s fastball. He's up to 26th. California's Ethan Gustis, who's up 41 spots to 64th. The lefties include maybe my favorite name in the entire class, Virginia's Cole Cinnamond, and Louisiana's Lawton Littleton, a junior feature games alum. Cinnamond is up 127 spots to 49th. Littleton moves up 128 spots. He now sits 67th.
Yeah, and we tend to be slower with the prep right-handers, and that's because it's a difficult uh, it's a difficult class to work with because those right-handers can be a little more risky. But Brady Bunick could end up being the number one pitcher in the class. It's electric from a low slot, moves really well, can spin the slider. He's up into the mid 90s. It's an electric factory there. Gustis, I love the way that he gets down the mound. I think he's a name that could really bust out this spring, or really could bust out this summer. I think those California guys, they start coming east. Those SEC guys get their ears perking. They may have a chance to see those guys, but he's a national name that everyone's going to need to know about because he moves so well. And then the lefties, you have Guzzy, who's a two-way talent, tough kid from Pennsylvania. He put on a show all spring, big time stuff. Lawton Littleton, who may end up being the top left-handed arm in this class as well. It's electric stuff. He's at Barb High School, pitching big games. I know my guy Alex Armand, our scouting director down there in Louisiana, loves what Littleton brings to the diamond. And then you talk about Cinnamon, who Jason Burton does such a great job in scouting the state of Virginia. Loves Cinnamon. He also swings it pretty well, which ties into his athleticism on the mound. He's in the low 90s, it's a loose arm stroke, and he can spin it. I like the upside that's coming out of there. We got arms all over the place. We got risers. I can't wait to see all these guys this summer.
Intriguing two-way Anderson Lambert, loaded toolbox. He's up 273 spots to 46 out of Maryland.
Yeah, Corey, we're betting on these DMV guys right now because they seem to continue to get better throughout. And Anderson Lambert, those aggressive athletes with aptitude, that guy certainly has. I love the bat to ball. He can really run. There's so much that he brings to the diamond. I think he's going to be an alluring talent on the recruiting trail this summer for all those I-95 schools, those SEC, ACC, all over the country.
A whole lot of newbies to pick from, and there is no surprise that the country's biggest talent hotbeds have something to say. Let's start with Texas. Three right-handed arms. Stratford's Quinn Fitzpatrick, who comes out of nowhere to be 23rd in the class. East Bernard's Max Mangum, who has the perfect name for a Texas high school quarterback, which, spoiler alert, he is. He debuts at 96th. And Kelly Catholic's Kason Reedy stands at 134.
I mean, it's amazing. The state of Texas and the absolute arms that they roll out there. Quinn Fitzpatrick, he's in the mid 90s. Like these guys are just sophomores in high school, pumping real serious heat. But it's a good arsenal. He moves well. The arm really works. Those are important aspects to really hoping and planning where they're going to get to and what that upside and ceiling is at. Reedy, the same. It's a 90-mile-an-hour arm. He moves super well. And then Big Max, who's a three-sport guy, physical. It's what you expect out of a big hoss coming from Texas. Just power stuff, looking to embarrass guys at the plate.
California counters with shortstop Cole Munyon, who comes in at 80th, and left-hander Mason Sims from National Power Corona with this litany of MLB prospects. He pops in at 91.
Yeah, I love the bat the ball from Munyon. It's a 6'3" frame. It's easily projectable. You look historically in the data sets of guys and what they do in Southern California and how they develop over time and what they're able to be coached with. You got to bet on a guy like Munyon who's already impacting the baseball and has a chance to climb up to his high ceiling. And then Mason Sims, who I got a chance to see this spring, pitch for Corona, big spot. Love the competitiveness, the quick arm, multiple pitches for strikes, and he is not scared out on the bump. He is going to attack hitters at all times, and I think college coaches are going to love that aspect of it.
Not to be outdone, three names from Florida. IMG's Juan Diaz, who made some noise this spring. He debuts at 92. A3 Academy's Moises Godino, who's nicknamed Mr. Clean. We're going to have to get to the bottom of that one. He's 105. And the First Academy's Kenyon Bastion, who's recently become a fixture here on Coffee and Curveballs of late. He sits at 136.
Yeah, and going through the list, the amount of shortstops in the state of Florida right now is astounding. Picking that future games roster is not going to be easy for those guys, Caden Hatcher and Rocco Iversi down there in the state of Florida, but it's a good problem to have. And when you're talking about a guy like Juan Diaz, who can really pick it, swings it from both sides of the plate, he's bouncy. He was playing next to Sushi there, IMG. And then you got Mr. Clean, like the hands that he was showcasing just in a quick workout were outstanding. We talk about Bastion plenty of times. He's going to put on a show this summer. But if you need a shortstop right now, coast to coast, your 27 recruiting class, Florida is a good place to start.
Two new faces from Mississippi, shortstop Fisher Howell, who debuts at 110, and third baseman Sullivan Reed at 164. Howell's a dual sport athlete, doubles as pedal heights quarterback. Reed just brings some serious, ridiculous pop in that bat. Exit velos at nearly 105.
Sheesh, I did not know that about Powell. That's some great information from you there, Corey, that he's a quarterback. You know, I love the QB ones, but a switch hitter, I'm seeing a lot more switch hitters throughout the high school class, which is very rare for an American player to find these switch hitters. You're thinking Tyler Bell was such a rarity last year before heading to Kentucky. But I love what Powell brings to the diamond. Can really swing it. Athletic, obviously, that he plays quarterback. And then you go over to Sullivan Reed. Oh my gosh. That is some serious pop in the barrel. Can't wait to see what he's doing. I will be parking very far away from the fields at Lake Point this summer if Sullivan Reed is on the diamond.
Now, Shooter, being from the Midwest, I don't consider Missouri and North Dakota part of the Midwest, but the U.S. Census Bureau does, which makes things a little easier here as I lump these two states together. Missouri gets two key newbies, Glendale third baseman Brady Yates, who was a first-team All-State as a 14-year-old thanks to a summer birthday. He comes in at 128. Liberty's 6'4" right-hander Ryan Dobratz is two spots behind at 130. Meanwhile, North Dakota's Caden Nelson, a name to know in a state not known for producing big time talent. No high schooler, by the way, from North Dakota has ever gone in the first 11 rounds of a draft, but he's one to watch, especially on the mound. Now sits at 156 in the class.
On the map there with that, Yates was just an ultra performer. The bat plays, I think the more that college coaches see him, the more they're going to like, and whatever school he ultimately ends up with, he's going to help boost that program. Dobratz, when you're betting on Missouri arms, just continue to develop at a quick rate, and they throw absolute fuel over time. And I love the way that Dobratz moves down the mound. It's a big frame. He's going to have a chance to break out this summer. And then you head over to North Dakota and shoot, it's a really clean delivery. The arm works. It's going to be very fascinating seeing Caden Nelson this summer go up against some big time talent, see how he competes in the game because the stuff is clearly there and he's got the tools to continue to make jumps.
Two more newbies to get to. Arizona's Aldo Tylon has two things I love: speed with a 6'7" in the 60 and power with exit velos at 102.5. He comes in at 85th.
You know what's awesome about Thailand? I got to see him during the spring, just on a side field and going over you. It just pays the acumen of like you never know what you're going to see. And this kid just pops on, impossible to miss. He's moving well at shortstop. The left-handed swing really works. And then he comes out to an event, puts on a show, triple digits with the exit velocities. He's a 6'7" runner. Everything's clean there. He's from Tucson area. Really looking forward to seeing him throughout the summer. But the upside is there because he's still very much a wiry frame. He's going to add tons of strength in the future.
Finally, Washington righty Ryan Howe is that state's top player, finds himself at 131 in the nation. There is a lot to like in that 6'4" frame.
Big physical, it's power stuff. And as much as we are on an island out here in the Pacific Northwest, keep churning out big arms and big prospects. So you have to highlight those guys. And I talked to Dan Jurek, our scouting director out here in the Pacific Northwest, and say, hey, these guys out here are really good. And I know that Florida and Texas and Georgia, California, they get all these names, and the Southeast guys get to play all the time. These dudes out here can ball, and there's some big talent, and that's why the Pacific Northwest MLB scouts do such a great job, and that's why a lot of first rounders are coming out of the Pacific Northwest these days. I don't want to say that's Rylan Howell yet, but I can't wait to see what he brings this summer.
If these 2027 rankings have taught us anything, it's that this group is continuing to redefine itself, especially at the top. Will be Chase Fuller, who continues to seize that brass ring. Can't wait to see it all unfold. We will be along for the ride here on Coffee and Curveballs. Until next time, I'm Corey McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.